Well, good morning to everybody. We're going to be brief. The truth is very simple, and it's easy to articulate. I'll just point out that today we're here on the west front of the Capitol. We're overlooking the national. Come and visit. They walk these grounds. We have about 7,000 people who visit this Capitol each and every day. But today that's not going to be the case. Today America's boys and girls will walk up to these doors and they'll see something different, a sign that says closed until further notice. And that's because at midnight, Democrats followed through on their threat to shut down the United States government. As we speak here this morning, there are hundreds of thousands of federal workers who are getting their furlough notices. Nearly half of our civilian workforce is being sent home. These are hardworking Americans who work for our federal government. Our troops and our Border Patrol agents will have to go to work, but they'll be working without pay. Food assistance, veterans benefits, and vital support for women and children are all coming to a halt. Now, thankfully, President Trump is trying to mitigate the damage as much as possible. His administration is working to limit the harm to the American people. But the longer this goes on, the more pain will be inflicted because it is inevitable when the government shuts down.
Every single bit of this.
Democrats could have worked with us in a bipartisan manner to avert this unnecessary and very harmful shutdown. But instead, they did something that is rather shocking to us. They prioritized taxpayer-funded benefits for illegal aliens over keeping the government open for American citizens. They themselves position that as a binary choice, and it's patently absurd. Listen to what the Democrats are demanding. They demanded, in exchange for our simple, clean, 24-page bipartisan continuing resolution, the same one that Chuck Schumer and the Democrats voted for just a few months back in March. In exchange for that, they rejected it, and they demanded something else. They wanted us to add over $1.5 trillion in new federal spending, paid for, of course, by hardworking American taxpayers, simply for funding the government at current Biden-level spending levels. We are not going to do that. We can't do that. We won't do it. Almost 2 weeks ago, the House did our job. In the House, we passed a common-sense, nonpartisan bill to keep the government open. Republicans did our job. We had one Democrat join us there, so it was bipartisan. But every other Democrat in the House voted to shut the government down. And last night, 44 Democrats in the Senate did the same thing. This is a clean resolution. It would simply buy Congress a few more weeks, 7 weeks, to finish the job. Why do we need that time? So that appropriators in both parties can finish their work. They've been restoring regular order. They've passed 12 separate bills out of committee in the House, and the Senate has done its work as well. 3 bills of the 12 passed in each chamber. They don't line up exactly, so there's a conference committee constituted, the first time in years that that's happened. We just need more time because we ran out of clock at the end of the fiscal year, September 30. This is very important to note. The Democrats themselves have voted to pass a clean bipartisan CR just like this 13 times in the last few years. During the 4 years of the Biden administration, 13 times this happened. Republicans did the responsible thing, even when we were in the minority, to keep the government open. And today should be no different. There is nothing new in this legislation. There's no poison pill. There's no partisan tricks. There's no gimmicks whatsoever. The only difference today is the man who is sitting in the Oval Office. Rather than work with President Trump and Republicans to get this job done, as our party has done repeatedly in the same situation over the years, Democrats want to play political games with the lives and the livelihoods of Americans. The simple truth is Democrats in Congress have dragged our country into another reckless shutdown to satisfy their far-left base. That is the truth. Whether or not the government remains open or reopens is entirely up to them. There's still time for Democrats to pass this clean bipartisan bill that's sitting before them, and we encourage our Democrat colleagues to do that. I certainly pray they'll come to their senses soon and do the right and responsible thing. The reason they will have one more opportunity today is because of the sound leadership that is being provided in the U.S. Senate by our colleagues who are standing here with us. This is a joint press conference, as you know, between the leadership, Republican leadership in the House and the Senate. And I'm delighted to yield to my good friend and an extraordinary leader in the Senate, Leader John Thune.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and our House colleagues for doing the work. You sent us a clean, continuing resolution. Unfortunately, we are here this morning in a government shutdown that the Democrats wanted. Chuck Schumer, at the behest of a bunch of liberal, far-left activist groups, has walked his Democrat colleagues into a boxed canyon. There's no way out, folks. There's no way out. This could have been avoided. It's totally unavoidable. And everybody's now asking the question, how does this end? Well, it ends when the Senate Democrats pick this bill up, passed by the House of Representatives, and vote for it. It's on the floor of the Senate. We're going to vote later this morning on this, 24 pages. Does this look partisan? Does this look dirty to you? 24 pages to fund the government. Nothing more, nothing less, nothing else. The House kept it simple. We kept it simple in the Senate. This is something, as the Speaker noted, that 13 times in the past Senate Democrats have done when they were in the majority and Joe Biden was in the White House. This is a very straightforward issue. It's not complicated. They want it to end. Vote with us to open up the government by voting this out of the Senate today, putting it on President Trump's desk, and he will sign it into law. President, House Republicans, Senate Republicans, we're all united on this. And what's interesting now is some of the Democrats are joining us. Our vote last night was a bipartisan vote. There were 3 Democrats that came over and voted with us because they know this strategy is a losing one, and it hurts the American people. It's not about who wins or who loses or who gets blamed in all this. It's about the American people. And they have taken the American people hostage in a way that they think benefits them politically, but at the consequence and the cost of what's going to happen to the American families if this government shutdown continues. And so I'm glad to be here with our Republican colleagues. Our Democrat colleagues in the House have been around here the last few days, I guess, flailing around, celebrating the fact that they voted to shut down the government. How ironic. Well, this can all end today, folks. It needs to end today. We will continue to work together with our House counterparts, with the President of the United States, to get this government open again on behalf of the American people. Next up is, there he is, the leader.
Thank you, Leader Thune. Today marks day 1 of the Schumer shutdown. As Speaker Johnson pointed out, this didn't need to happen. House Republicans came together weeks ago to prevent a government shutdown. We brought as straightforward of a bill as you can have to say, let's allow government to be funded for another 2 months while we negotiate our differences. Clearly, we have differences with Democrats right now. One of the Democrat leaders confirmed yesterday that Democrats shut the government down to fund health care for illegal aliens. That is no way to hold the American people hostage over some far-left demand. You know, we had an election in November where the country came together and said, let's send to Washington leaders who want to solve problems and get our country back on track. And we've been working feverishly to do that, to get this country back on track, to get the economy moving, to lower inflation, to lower interest rates. And Democrats, just to appease their far-left radical base, have been voting no every step of the way. Well, today it has consequences, because when Hakeem Jeffries whipped every Democrat to vote no and shut the government down, luckily in the House, we only needed a majority vote. We were able to come together and do the right thing and get that bill over to the Senate. But as everybody knows in the Senate, you also need Democrats to come together with Republicans to get 60 votes. And so when Chuck Schumer made such a fatally flawed decision to shut the government down, ultimately the American people, I think, are going to get involved and demand that Chuck Schumer reverse course, because it's not sustainable. The American people do not want to be held hostage to Chuck Schumer's radical demands to fund illegal health care and, oh, by the way, to cut and gut $50 billion out of rural hospitals. That's in the bill that Chuck Schumer filed as his alternative. outrageous. You want to talk about a partisan demand to hold the American people hostage. That's what Chuck Schumer's done. We have a bill that is clean, that just keeps these negotiations going for another 2 months while the government stays open. And all Chuck Schumer needs to do is get over the tantrum that he's having with the results of the election from November and vote yes to keep the government open. We are here ready to get the job done. Schumer needs to end his shutdown and finally join with us, and let's start real negotiations without holding the American people hostage. With that, I want to bring up my friend, the whip of the Senate, Whip Rasso.
Well,